Creativity Time in the Handwork Studio. Hope everybody's doing. I can't believe we're already gone through a whole week of tutorials, so I'm gonna go ahead and wait a few minutes to let folks start to join us. I know that everybody's been busy, things have been sort of getting on schedules and on track, so I have been thrilled to be able to join you every morning at 10 o'clock on Facebook. And all these videos will be available later today. So if you're just scrolling by and you're like, oh, this looks interesting, you can go ahead and put this up on your YouTube page, or you'll find us on our YouTube page. You'll find us on our Facebook page. You'll find us on our website. So you will easily be able to access this video later today, and also all of our videos. This is now our 15th tutorial that we put together over the last 3 weeks. And I will also just let you know that we are going to be changing the format a little bit. So after this week, next week, I'm going to have a special guest joining me on Monday. I'm super excited. It's Dr. Marcy from Three Ducks, and she is with a company that is really about engineering and construction, and using these cool cardboard cutouts and connector pieces. So she's going to show us a really cool project on Monday, how to put together. It's going to have levers and pulleys, and how like all those connector pieces are going to work. So I'm excited. Hopefully you guys will be able to join us next Monday. And after Monday, we are going to be moving to a new format for Creativity Time, so you can stay tuned for that. We'll let you know what that's going to look like. But until then, today I am going to be doing a woven cup. So as folks are coming in, I'll show you my woven cup. I'm going to be using this particular one. All my markers that keep rolling around on me. So this is going to stay on my desk. I think it's adding a little pizzazz to my workspace, or if anybody has an arts and crafts space and you need a place to store some materials, these woven cups are amazing. I will also tell you that, if you are celebrating Easter in the I think it's next week, you guys might want to make your own baskets. Like, how cool would that be? Or like mini baskets, and all you need are a couple of simple supplies and you can make your own mini baskets. I'm even going to give you a brief overview of how to make your own cup, so you will be able to pretty much access lots of different tools and materials to make this happen. So I'm going to go ahead and let folks continue to join us. It's just a little after 10 o'clock, so if you want to let us know where you're coming from, I'm still at my home studio right outside of Philadelphia, which is where our brick and mortar location of the Handwork Studio is located as well. We're in Narberth, Pennsylvania, and that's where we run our after-school classes and our summer camp programs, or at least one of our summer camp programs. We actually run summer camp up and down the East Coast from Virginia to New York, so we love bringing crafting and making to young hands and minds. So you're going to learn by making, and that is really what we're about, learning by making. So today, if you haven't seen already, we're going to go ahead and make our woven cup. I'm going to give you a rundown of the materials, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody. Thank you again for joining us again next week, and I'll give a little overview at the end. We're going to be doing things a little differently, so I will, if you didn't hear what I was saying, then I will give you an overview again. Okay, so for a woven cup, you might have already guessed, we're going to need a cup. So I have just a regular paper cup over here. You can use a plastic cup. You can even use, if you have a water bottle, you could even cut down a water bottle to be a little shorter if you have a tall water bottle. If you have maybe a bowl could work for this as well. What you want to be able to do is cut into the cup, okay? So a glass cup or a metal cup or a ceramic cup is not going to work for this project. So it really needs to be something that you're going to be able to cut into, but not so flimsy that it's going to, crumple up. So this is a nice paper cup that I have over here, and that's going to be the first thing that you're going to need. And I see we got Grammy with us, so welcome Grammy. Thanks for joining us. She's been here for the last 3 weeks, so I guess it's the way we can bring our worlds a little closer together. to need a pair of scissors, so that means you're going to need a pair of scissors. I have some yarn, and the yarn I recommend, you can use something like ribbon as well, or anything that's going to be a string, but you want to think about how you want your weaving to look. You can certainly scrounge around the house. You can use things like plastic, maybe of different color plastic shopping bags, and you can cut out strips and use that for weaving. You can get really experimental with this, and that's one of the best things about doing a lot of these projects. There's no definite way of doing anything. You can experiment and be creative and decide what works and what doesn't work. I'm just going to give you the foundation, and hopefully you can use that as your jumping off point. So like a springboard. Okay, so yarn, cup, scissors. I'm going to use some glue. I have craft glue. If you don't have craft glue and you prefer hot glue, that's fine. Just remember, hot glue is hot, so we do recommend adult supervision also with using things like scissors as well. These projects are really good for anyone ages 5 and up. However, an extra set of hands always comes in handy. So you might want to partner up with somebody if you have another person to work with in your house. So that's always a recommendation from the Handwork Studio, is adult supervision and or an extra set of hands to work with. Okay, I have just a piece of printer paper, so blank is fine. Even a used scrap piece is totally fine, because I'm going to show you how to make like a quick, easy measuring tape out of your piece of paper, and I think that's it. So I'll just give a quick overview. Cup, scissors, yarn, glue, paper, and also, I'm sorry, something to write with. So I'm using a Sharpie marker. Any type of marker should work pretty well for this project, okay? Everybody's ready to get started, and I will just let you guys know that I am watching the comments off to the side, so if you have any recommendations, if you have any questions, if you aren't understanding, I have a team of people. We have Miss Paige, who is monitoring the comments as well, who can help offer insight if you need it, and also throwing ideas up there for the rest of the group to say like, ooh, that's a great idea. All right, so we're gonna figure out how to turn our cup into a loom. So when you weave on a loom, and a loom can be in a variety of different, so my loom today is going to be a cup. A couple of days ago, I used straws for weaving. You can use sticks for weaving. So the idea is you need to create something for the yarn to wrap around, or your string to wrap around. And what you're wrapping your string around is called the warp. And I always get this confused, but Miss Anna, who works at our studio, she's our studio manager, has always been amazing, and she came up with a great idea. There is warp, which is what you're going to weave onto. So the cup is going to have your warp. And then there's the weft. And the weft is going to be your yarn, or whatever you're going to use to activate the weaving. And the weft is left to right. So weft to right is a way for me to remember, is that the weft is the one that's going to be moving from technically like left to right or right to left. So weft is your yarn, and your warp is going to be whatever you are going to weave on. So let's go ahead and make our warp out of our cup, okay? What we need to do is divide our circle up into an odd number of sticks, basically, okay? It always has to be odd when you're weaving, and that's a good hint. If you decide you want to experiment with weaving on other items, always make sure you have an odd number of warp, okay? So this cup has 11 cuts, so I have 11 different pieces to actually wrap my yarn around. Depending on the size of the cup you're using will depend on how many warps you're going to need, okay? So mine might not be the same as yours. If you're using a really big cup, you might have more. You might make yours wider. So mine are roughly a little less than an inch. So I'm going to say each of my cuts were about 3/4 of an inch. And the way I'm going to start to figure out how to divide this up is you can always use tape measure, which is a long flimsy piece of almost like fabric, and it has a ruler on it, so it has like your inches or your centimeters on it. If you don't have a tape measure, you can take a piece of printer paper. I'm going to cut my printer paper down just a little bit. Doesn't really matter. I just find it's easier to make it a little smaller than trying to wrap this around the whole piece around the cup. I am going to take my piece of paper and just hold it up. I have a lip on my cup, so I'm going to just hold it up right against the edge here, and I'm going to begin to wrap it around until it comes back. I don't know if you guys can see that. Back to the beginning and overlap it a little bit. So I don't know if you guys are seeing how it overlaps like right about there. I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to mark right where it overlaps. So this piece right here is going to tell me that is how many inches around my cup is, or centimeters, whatever you're using, whatever increments of measurement. And this is a great measuring activity if you do have a ruler. So you could certainly take your ruler and measure this out, and you could start to divide it up if you want to. If you're not using a ruler, what we're going to have to do is start to eyeball this so that you get an idea of how many cuts you are going to make into your cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off this piece right about here. Again, it doesn't need to be exact, but it just gives me an idea. And I'm going to find my middle, roughly, and just mark my middle over here. I'm going to bring my screen down. And of course, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and, oh, thanks, Anna, left to right. If you guys have any questions about how this is working, go ahead and pop them up in the comments section. But I'm going to go ahead and bring it down here. You guys see that okay? I don't know if we're getting shadows at all, but this is about my middle. I'm going to create a line right on each side of the middle point, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and fold it again, and this is another fold, and I'm going to go ahead and do it right in the middle, whoop, about that size. So I know I have another section here and here, and then I'm going to come right in the middle of this here, there. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, we can do another one right here, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You can go ahead of middle, right around here, fold that in half, give it a little crease. I'm going to come on each side of this. So this is 7, 8, 9, and I'm going to come 10 and 11. I don't know if you guys can see that. It might be upside down for you. Let me try it this way. So I know I'm going to have 11 cuts around my cup again, which is what I did for this one over here. This is a pretty standard size drinking cup, like maybe a coffee cup size. So once we have this set up, you could line it up on here and wrap it around so I can see where each of my numbers are going to go, and I'm going to make a mark on my cup right where my lines are, okay? If you guys see that? Is everyone doing okay with this? You can always put a piece of tape to hold the paper in place. And again, if you have a tape measure and you're going to divide this out, that's totally fine. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start to mark. So that's my 1. This is my 2. Let's see if I can do it. Actually, I think this way would be better for you guys. And you may want to use an extra set of hands if you're working with somebody else. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm just rotating it around. 8, 9, 10, and now I'm back to 11 right here. So my cup now has these red markings on it, and what you can do is if you want to help make straight lines for cutting, you can use the edge of your paper as a guide, or you can eyeball it. It's really up to you. But what you can do is this is going to come straight down just like that, and we'll go all the way around the cup. And just remember, a lot of cups you see it's wider at the top and smaller at the bottom, so our ends, our warp pieces might look more triangular, okay, because they're not going to be perfectly parallel. because the top of the cup is going to be bigger than the bottom of the cup. So that means we're going to have a little bit of an angle when we bring our lines all the way down. Okay? If anyone has any questions, doing okay, you can always give a thumbs up. But we're going to, excuse me, work our way around just to help get the lines on there. And just remember, you're not going to see any of these lines when we're done. You're actually going to cover it up with your yarn, which is what we're going to get to in just a moment, okay? So if you go all the way around, that will help you create a guide. And I won't go all the way around right now. I'm going to go ahead and start cutting into the cup. So what you're going to do is take your pair of scissors and you're going to follow if you made lines, or if you did it and you're just eyeballing it, you want to bring it all the way down to the end without cutting the actual bottom of the cup. So right now I'm holding my cup upside down and I'm going to start to cut in to my cup as close to the end that I can go. So I know there's like a little section here where the cup has the bottom attached. I'm not going to be able to cut into that, okay? What you don't want to do is actually cut your cup completely apart. But if you're just practicing and that happens, most likely you can just go ahead and grab another cup. So I'm going to go ahead and do this side. And I'm just going to rotate it around. So I'm just turning it in my hands, just like this. And don't worry if some of your pieces aren't looking exactly even, or they're kind of flimsy, like a little skinnier at the bottom, because like I said, they're going to be more like a triangle than straight lines. So we're just going to keep rotating this around, until we get all 11 warps. Okay. So now my cup kind of looks cool like this, has been completely cut into, and these pieces that we've cut are now the warp. So I have something to actually weave around. Okay, I'm giving it a little pull just to separate them a tiny bit. It's going to make it a little easier when I go to start to weave. Okay, so everyone doing okay? Their warps? Okay, so here's my loom. And what's great about a cup is you do get this three-dimensionalness. It's going to be in the round instead of something that's flat. So you automatically, this is how baskets are technically made. They just might use sticks. If you ever have seen like that sort of thing, they're using sticks instead of, you know, a pre-made cup, that sort of thing. All right, so let's get to some weaving. I have some yarn here. My favorite, one of my favorites, is variegated, just like this version over here is also variegated. Variegated means the colors will change on the thread, on the yarn. And so it's like more bang for my buck kind of thing. I don't have to change my colors out really ever because I know my colors are going to change for me. But I will give you an understanding of how to change your colors if that's something you want to do. For the length of this, it's a little hard to judge length because everyone's cup is going to be a different size. But I would say at least if you're working off of a skein, when it's all bundled together like this, so when you get it wrapped at a store, if you're going to go buy it at a craft store or something like that, you will measure off about 5 to 10 arm lengths. I always say do a little extra just in case. That way you don't have to start attaching new pieces. But worst case scenario is if you do run out of yarn, I'm going to show you how to add more yarn to this. Okay? So you just might want to roll out, you know, a couple of arm spans. I do it like full arm spans from fingertip to fingertip, all the way spread out. And I understand everyone's arm span is going to be different, and that's totally fine. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to set our yarn up on our loom, our cup loom. I'm going to find the end, which is right here, and I'm going to decide which one I want to start weaving on. It does not matter where you start weaving. You can start on any one of the warps over here on your loom, and you're going to, I hold the yarn against the cup just so it doesn't pull out on me. I'm going to leave a little tail too, so I don't know if you guys can see that. I have a little tail, and now I'm holding it against the cup, and I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to bring it around the back of this piece right here, and then I'm going to bring it out to the front. So I just went around the one warp, and what it has done is it's hooked itself in place. Don't cut the yarn yet. It will just kind of hang out there for a little while, but I'm going to show you ways to end this in just a few. But what I want you to do is leave that piece hanging out, and then we're going to go ahead and start weaving. And many of you might have already done weaving. Maybe you've used construction paper, or you have done this maybe on a cardboard loom. But what's going to happen is the same thing. It's always going to be over, under, over, under. So I just went under here. So it's going to be over here. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting up the yarn, and this is where it could get a little tricky for some new friends. Lift it up and then bring it back around and bring it under the next one and pull it down. And you can see it kind of sits a little lumpy. You got a little bubble there, and that's okay. You can always pull that gently. You don't want to pull anything hard. And then you might want to go ahead and push it down a little bit. So the first few times you go around your cup, it's going to be a little awkward because you have to get it all the way down to the bottom. You don't want to have all your weaving up at the top, or else it won't cover the whole cup. So we're going to go over to the next one. So I went under this one. I'm going to go over the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this here. So it's over, and then it's under this one here. So I'm going to bring that through. Whoop, I skipped one. Under. And you can see everything's still a little loopy over here. So go ahead and give that a pull, a gentle pull. And if you have pieces kind of hanging out, that's like not even, go ahead and push that down. So your first round, like I said, is going to take some practice. It's going to involve you making sure your yarn is getting set up okay on your loom. So I pulled it again, and you can see the pattern, right? So this is over, this is under, this is over, this is under. Here I am at the bottom again. I'm going to bring it over, and now we're on the inside. And once you start to get the pattern, the rhythm down, you're going to go under and pull that. If you saw that I pulled it down pretty straight, we're going to go to the next one. And I'm going to pull this through. You see it's a little, we're going to go under and over, and I've almost completed my first round, and now I'm back to the beginning. You see how my yarn hanging out over here? So the reason why we're making odd numbers of cuts or odd number of warps here is that now, because I was under on this first one here, now it's going to be over like that. You see I went over, and now it's going to look like it's starting to cover the cup. There you go. So how's everyone doing? You guys doing okay? And we're going to just keep going like this all the way around. Keep pushing it down. The more you start to stack up, the easier it will get to push. And this is good if you have two people working on something like this. You can have one person doing the weaving and another person help you push down. I'm putting my hand inside of the cup to push it down. And we're just going to keep working our way around. So I've almost completed another rotation. And keep pushing it down. There we go. And stack it up. And you can see now it almost looks like a continuous line, or it's like a little up, a little down. And you can see how the more you weave, the more it's going to cover up the cup. Some recommendations: do not pull your yarn really tight. It could squeeze your cup and make it start to look funny. So it might not look like a cup anymore. It could get like squeezed like this, and it'll be very hard to weave. So you don't want to do any major pulling on your yarn. Just something gentle, making sure you push it down as you go. Let's say you accidentally missed a warp. So I accidentally went over 2, or you went under 2. all you need to do is just back it up. Sometimes you don't realize it until it's too late. You made it all the way around to the other side and you realize that your over-unders are not following the correct pattern anymore. So go ahead and you can just back it up. Sometimes you might have to back it up quite a few spaces to fix it, but the good news is you can certainly fix it. So we're going to keep going over unders. What I find is helpful, I like to hold my cup generally with my hand on the top, and I'm just kind of pushing my warps out so I can rotate it a little easier. I'm a righty, so I am using my right hand to do the weaving. If you're a lefty, you would want to use your left hand for the weaving. And you can see I'm able to get into a rhythm a little bit more by holding it in a more comfortable position. I don't know if you guys can see what's happening over here, but you find what's comfortable for you. The more you do this, the more you'll get the hang of it. This is all about practicing. And you can see every time I weave, I push it down a little bit. So over, under. I'm pushing one out, so that makes it a little easier. And then we're just going to keep stacking it up one strand at a time. And this is really how all woven fabric is made. Some much, much smaller warps. So we're talking, your cotton fabric is made like this. So when someone talks about a woven fabric, this is generally how the fabric will be made, which is pretty cool. So if you start to look closely maybe at your sheets at home or maybe a flannel shirt and you really zoom in close, you can start to see how there's lines going this way, your warp line, and then you can start to see the weft that goes around the warp that makes the pattern on your potentially your clothing or on your bed sheets, or someone might have a carpet that's been woven. So there's lots and lots of different uses for weaving, and you can see it makes fabric, so it makes a full sheet of something. So I'm now really starting to pick up speed here. We're going to keep going over, under, just like this. And I'm not going to go ahead and weave the entire cup here today because I do want to show you a couple of different things that you can do with your weaving. But once you get the hang of over, under, and if you make a mistake, the most common mistake is maybe missing one of the warps. Just knowing you need to back it up is really important. And then I want to show you how we can change some colors. So let's say I ran out and you want a new piece, or you want to make it multicolored, you don't have variegated yarn, or you ran out of your yarn. What you're going to do, I'm going to cut this right here, right now, and I'm going to grab a new color. So I have this hot pink over here, and I always make sure I have a tail about at least a finger's length because you want to make sure you can have enough room to tie. So I'm going to do a square knot, which is a crisscross of the two yarns together. My one that's underneath is my yellow. I'm going to bring that around. So let's see if I can bring this down a little bit. You guys see that? I'm going to bring my yellow because it's underneath. I'm going to bring it around. I'm going to pull it so I have my two ends sticking out. We're going to crisscross it again. This is a square knot over here. And my pink is now underneath, and I'm going to bring it through the loop and give it a good tug. The more you kind of tug on it, the tighter it's going to get. You want to put the tension on it a little bit. And I've attached the two pieces together. I'm going to get rid of a little bit of the excess over here. There you go. So now you can continue. What I try to do when I have a knot is I try to weave it so the knot's going to be on the inside of the cup. Doesn't always work out that way, but if, oops, Miss Julia, ay. So I realized I actually tied it to my bottom tail over here. So what I would do, and we all make mistakes, so mistakes are a good learning lesson. I would just cut that off and I would tie it on to the correct one. So sometimes your tail could be tricky. Make sure you tie it onto the one that you're actually going to continue weaving, okay? So mistakes always happen. I say you learn from your mistakes all the time. Sometimes it could be frustrating. I totally get it. And if you're having a hard time, walk away and come back. My videos are going to be here forever. You can access them on our website, on our Facebook page here, and of course on YouTube as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and retie this up. I pulled a little too hard, so it did come undone. So be careful about that. I'm going to give it a snip. And that's kind of the fun part of doing things live. You can kind of see the reality of what it means to do this type of crafting. It's not always easy, and mistakes definitely do happen. So what you're going to do, you would just keep weaving however you're comfortable holding your cup. Make sure you're always going in the same direction. And what's nice is you can walk away. So if you need to go and do something else, you can always put this off to the side and come back to it later when you want to pick it up again. It's a great project if you're just hanging out. Maybe you're watching something on TV or you're on a car ride or something like that. This is a great project. It's super mobile, meaning you can take it with you almost anywhere you go. It's not messy, so you don't have to worry about paint and glue really getting everywhere. But what I want to show you guys now is how we can begin to finish it off. Okay, so I do have this little mini cup over here, and I made this cup. So I did mention that you don't necessarily have to use a cup or a normal standard cup every single time. You can even make mini ones, which I thought was really cute. And this is out of a toilet paper tube. So I cut that down. It's about 2 inches in height. And I glued it to another piece of cardboard. So I do have a bottom on it so I can make it into a basket. So you can certainly make your own cups. Once I glued it on to the base over here, then I just cut down and I made my warps in the same way, making sure it was odd numbers. And now I'm going to finish it off. What I don't really want to do, what I don't really want to see is this brown part up at the top. So there's some ways to cover it up, and that's really up to you. You can do a couple of different things. You could braid some extra yarn together. So if you have a couple of colors that you would want to braid together, just a simple, three-strand braids, or maybe you want to double your string up and you'll do 6 strands and 2 of them can go together. I taught kumihimo the other day, so you could put kumihimo along the top. And I also, this one I used finger knitting. So if anybody's ever done like finger crochet or finger knitting, this could be a cool way. Makes a nice design along the tippy top. I also was thinking buttons could be really fun. So if you have a stash of buttons or beads, you can glue them down along the bottom and make it a really fun, or just add a little extra texture to the ends of this. So it's really up to you how you want to do it. So let's say I was going to use buttons. I would just grab some glue, and I'm going to come back to the tail at my bottom section over here. I actually glued my tail on this one. So what I would do is take the tail, and I would take my glue. This is where you might want to use some craft glue, or you might want to use your hot glue gun. But remember, just making sure you're safe with your hot glue gun. And craft glue just takes a little while to dry. That's the biggest thing about using craft glue, is it won't be ready right away. And just go ahead and squeeze a little bit, a little dabble do ya. You can bring your yarn tail over. This is why I don't like to cut it. I'm even just wiping my fingers across the top of it just to make sure it's pretty wet. I want to make sure the whole tail is covered in the glue so that it's not going to come out. And that way, if you're going to use your cup, you don't actually, it doesn't accidentally come undone. So let's say I'm going to do a button. I can just put a dab of glue there and take my button and start to glue all the way around. And if you decide that you want to do some more of the fiber techniques, you can always refer to our other videos like kumihimo. You can do finger knitting. You can do a braid. I've even seen like teeny tiny pom-poms, which I think would be super cute. You can make them along the bottom if you want to get like really into this. But the goal is to pretty much cover up the cup part that's showing through. And so it's really, a matter of what you have on hand. So I have some more red buttons over here. And I'm just gluing them all the way across the bottom, just like that. I'm going to put that off to the side. And let's say you want to use some finger crochet. I have a pretty long piece over here. And just take that. A pretty long piece over here, you can always cut it down. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the tail. I'm going to make this tail a tiny bit shorter, just like that. I'm going to take the glue and just run it along the top edge just to get it started. I'm going to put my hand, just kind of wipe the glue across it a little bit. I also might even bring it onto the inside, and that just helps to add a little security. This glue dries pretty clear, so you won't see a whole lot left over. And then I would start to bring my finger crochet along the top, so it starts to cover the top of our weaving. And I would do the same thing along the bottom. So this is the beauty of the project. You guys get to decide. There's lots of different ways, I think, to decorate this. I had some sequins hanging around that I was able to glue onto my basket and make it extra sparkly. You can even put more buttons in the middle section. You can use fabric. So if you have some extra fabric laying around, you might want to put a fabric band around the bottom, or you can cut out fabric shapes. So one of the things that I love about doing all these crafts is I get to see all the projects you guys get to make, well, the ones that you want to share with us. So if you are making a cool basket, please, or a cool weaving out of your cup, please go ahead and share it with us. We love to see what you're working on and how you're able to add your own artistic interpretation of what we were showing you today. So you can DM us, you can tag us, you can email us, whatever way you want to share your weaving. We'd love to see it. And even if you're watching this after our Facebook Live, we'd still love to see what you guys are working on. So we have basically gone through the process of making a woven cup. And you could see I was able to weave all the way up to the tippy top. You'll get a little extra at the top and the bottom of the cup still showing. So I recommend going ahead and covering it with something. This has our finger crochet, but my cup over here, I was starting to glue some buttons on the bottom of it, or you can use fabric, paper, you name it, whatever you decide. And then voila, you'll have a cup. I think you can even turn it into a planter, especially if you're using a plastic cup, or this cup wax seal on it, and I might poke holes in the bottom and I can plant some seeds in it. So how cool would that be to have this really beautiful woven cup? Maybe you put a plastic insert, like a plastic bag in there, just so that it doesn't get the weaving soaked if you decide to go that route. Or you can insert a planter container into this and have the plant sticking out of the top. So you can do some really cool things with this. Please share it. But thank you guys again for joining us for another creativity time. As I mentioned, next week things are going to be a little different. I will have a guest with us on Monday, Marcy from Three Ducks, which we are going to be making these cool pulley and lever projects. And we are also going to be changing up our format for our creativity time videos as well. And because we're not going to be broadcasting anything over the weekend, if you're still looking for some crafts to do, we do have our Boredom Buster kits, which has all of our favorite tools, like our pom-pom makers, our Kumi Himo boards, our Wonder Knitters, that we can still ship out and get directly to your home so you can continue the crafting. All right, so thank you everybody. Have a wonderful, safe weekend, and we will see you here on Monday, same time, same place. Take care.